There's a stretch of America's west coast that looks straight out of a movie. Emerald blue ocean, sheer cliffs, icy fog rolling over black rocks, ancient evergreen forests with trees so tall they feel like pillars holding up the sky, and inland volcanic ridgelines that turn white in winter. And yet, here's what makes it weird. Even in peak season, it still feels empty. Right between two urban magnets, Seattle and Portland in the north and San Francisco and Los Angeles in the south, there's a visible gap on the population map that makes people stop and ask, why would a region this beautiful, this high potential, stay so lightly populated? And why do some locals still dream about breaking off into a brand new state? The state of Jefferson, America's 51st state. Stay until the end, because once you see the real reason, you'll understand why this place is empty. Not because life is impossible, but because geography, history, and infrastructure accidentally created a massive shield against large-scale urbanization. The empty West Coast nobody talks about. When people say West Coast, they picture Silicon Valley, Hollywood, packed coastal cities, endless suburbs, and highways stacked on highways. But there's a section of coastline roughly from Northern California up into Southern Oregon that feels strangely different. It's not that nobody lives here, it's that the population density drops hard compared to almost everything around it. No major metropolitan area appears, no megacity emerges. On the map, it looks like a buffer zone between two worlds. A lot of people call this region Jefferson, not just as a place, but as a cultural and political idea. And first, we need to be clear about one thing. This isn't bad land. If anything, it's some of the most jaw-droppingly beautiful terrain in the entire United States. A cinematic paradise with a catch-one. Northern California, the kingdom of forests. Huge stretches of national forest. Old-growth giants some thousands of years old standing like living skyscrapers. And the coastline, it's moody, dramatic, and unreal. Jagged rock walls, cold fog, heavy surf, and scenery that looks like a film set designed to make you feel small. 2. Volcano country, Mount Shasta, and the Cascades. Then you hit the mountains, especially Mount Shasta, a massive volcanic peak that is breathtaking, and also a reminder, this is not flat, friendly terrain where you can effortlessly spread a city outward. This land is beautiful, but it's not easy. 3. Southern Oregon, the hidden dreamland. You've got places like the Rogue Valley with warmer, drier pockets that support agriculture, and then there's Crater Lake, a geological miracle. Impossibly deep, impossibly blue, the kind of place travelers obsess over. So yes, this region is a paradise for nature, travel, and lifestyle, but building a major city here, that's a completely different game. Why big cities don't stick? Here, a major city doesn't just need land, it needs 3 things in the real world: wide, buildable, flat ground transportation corridors that are cheap to expand, a location that supports large-scale trade and economic gravity, and this region struggles with all 3 because the landscape itself fights back. The terrain is chopped into pieces. Between ranges like the Sierra Nevada and the Cascades, the geography is heavily fragmented. Yes, there are valleys, some are gorgeous, but many of them are small. Not the kind of broad, endless plains where a mega metro can sprawl the way Los Angeles did. A huge portion of the land is locked. A massive percentage is national forest, protected land, parks, and conservation zones. That's amazing for nature, but it also means development is limited legally, environmentally, and practically. This isn't a place where you can just build outward forever. The coastline isn't port-friendly. A lot of this coast is steep, rocky, wave-pounded with fewer deep natural bays suited for a massive port. And that matters more than most people realize. No major port means no major trade hub. No major trade hub means no engine that pulls millions of people in. The migration story, why history skipped this place. In American history, people didn't spread randomly. They followed the path of least resistance and greatest reward. Easy routes, fertile farmland, gold, ports, railroads, and industrial booms. The Oregon Trail pulled people toward the Willamette Valley. In Oregon, settlers were strongly drawn into the Willamette Valley near today's Portland. Rich soil, river corridors, and a natural channel for farming and trade. The gold rush exploded in California, but not evenly. Yes, the gold rush made California boom, but it didn't evenly populate this rugged northern coastal strip. In other words, this region never got the one catalytic moment, the kind of big event powerful enough to anchor a massive population center right here. No giant port boom, no dominant rail hub, no single economic magnet is strong enough to turn it into the next coastal metropolis. The infrastructure trap, here's the part most people miss. To build a population, you need infrastructure. To justify infrastructure, you need population. And this region gets trapped in that loop. Think about what it takes to support millions of residents, like highways, freight routes, rail and logistics, power lines, water systems, broadband, telecom, and job density strong enough to keep people there. But building that here is brutally expensive. Mountain passes mean tunnels, bridges, cuts, and constant maintenance. Dense forests complicate right-of-way and land clearing, protected lands trigger legal and environmental constraints, and the payoff is uncertain because there's no obvious economic engine waiting on the other side. So investors hesitate, governments prioritize the big cities, and the loop continues. Less infrastructure leads to fewer big employers. Fewer employers mean fewer jobs. Fewer jobs mean fewer people. And fewer people means even less incentive to invest. That cycle is one of the strongest invisible forces shaping this region. The human factor. Some people want it this way. Now we reach the most underrated reason of all. A lot of people who live here like that, it's not crowded. They value rural life, wilderness, and small communities. They don't want the sprawl, traffic, and cost explosion of major metros. And that creates a powerful identity. We're not Sacramento. We're not Portland. We're not run by people who live hundreds of miles away. That's where the state of Jefferson idea comes from. It's not only political, it's emotional. It's the feeling of being overlooked, of decisions being made elsewhere about local forests, land, taxes, and resources. Realistically, creating a new U.S. state is extremely hard. It would require approvals at multiple levels, including the states involved in the U.S. Congress. So Jefferson often exists less as a literal political outcome and more as a mindset, a regional identity, a flag you wave to say, we live differently. The clusters, where life does concentrate. This region isn't empty everywhere. It has pockets where geography is more forgiving and the economy can take root. Eugene, at the southern edge of the Willamette Corridor, Medford, near the Rogue Valley, Redding, and Chico, in inland Northern California, Bend, a fascinating case growing fast thanks to the outdoor lifestyle appeal. What these places share: easier terrain, valleys, corridors, a stable local economy, services, education, agriculture, tourism, and outdoor, and a model that doesn't require becoming a megacity to survive. The formula for the empty West Coast. If you remember one formula, remember this: geography, mountains, forests, and a port-hostile coast. History, migration patterns move past it, and no single economic shock anchored a megacity. Infrastructure, high costs plus uncertain returns means investment doesn't scale. Identity, many locals actively prefer low density, the Jefferson mindset. Stack those forces together, and you get a natural buffer zone. Not urban enough to explode like LA or the Bay Area, not trade-driven like Seattle, but far too beautiful to be dismissed. It becomes a paradox, a paradise that never becomes a crowd. So the next time you look at a population map of the US and notice that strange, quiet stretch on the West Coast, remember, it isn't a failure. It's a place where geography built walls, history passed by, infrastructure never ignited, and people chose a different life. If you want, I can make the next episode in this series. Does the state of Jefferson have any real chance of becoming an actual state? And what would have to happen for this region to ever boom like America's major coastal hubs? Thanks for staying until the end. If this was useful, hit subscribe and share it so more people can discover the story behind the map. And Drop your perspective in the comments because this series is all about places that look simple at first glance, but underneath, there's always a deeper story.